Well, hello everybody, Steve here. Hope you're having a great day. Well, since on my last video I book Out the Bottomless Pit, and I put a link there where you can actually read this chapter 3 about the hollow earth theory and some of the scientists who were behind this originally that also believed the earth was hollow. And as I said before, most scientists believed the earth was hollow until about 1950. So I thought I'd just read from my first book, Out the Bottomless Pit, chapter 3, which I call the hollow earth theory. Establishing and determining a factual geophysical model of planet Earth's interior has been a considerable challenge for the intellectual community. Given our rapid technological advancement, one would think that determining the makeup of Earth's core would be simple, but it's not true. Earth's center is the most inaccessible part of our planet. Several prominent individuals have supported the hollow earth theory, and it's no joke of a list. A number of physicists, astronomers, mathematicians, high-ranking military personnel share the same belief. They share their stories through experience, research, and more. There really is some mind-blowing information suggests the Earth could actually be hollow. Our current understanding about the makeup of Earth's core is a theory, based on an assumption that is taught as facts. The evidence for the composition of the Earth's core is recent, however indirect. We have no means for directly sampling the deep interior of the Earth. Humans, apparently, if we have not been privy to that information, have not been able to access that part of our planet. Often we fail to recognize that what we so often regard as truth is based on theory and assumption. Not only that, but then it's very proudly and arrogantly taught in the educational system and by the scientists and by the media as fact when it isn't. It's a control mechanism. Nearly everything they do is to control people, control their mind, control their thoughts, control what they do. We take these theories and put them in the category of truth until another theory comes along to replace it. The individuals who propose the theory of hollow earth might shock you. They're some of the most influential, intelligent, innovative, and creative minds of all time, many of which are at the backbone of science and maths. The intellectual arena is not the only one, but the hollow earth is also prominent in military history. The hub for global control and concealment of information, known today as the military-industrial complex. Some of these names might shock you, and keep in mind I've only provided a short list of many individuals who supported the theory of hollow earth. Theories about the Earth's core are constantly changing and have yet to be cemented as truth. New theories seem to emerge every year. Last theory proposed was July 2013. Geophysical methods provide the only direct measurement for the properties of the Earth's interior. Then it goes on to explain all the scientific ways they use in order to see if the Earth is solid or hollow. But let me point out that a lot of what they do in science and the military is, they don't do it because they're really interested in knowing. They do it in order to promote their narrative. You'll find there's a lot of people doing jobs that are going nowhere deliberately. They're just told to act busy, paid lots of money to do nothing, because they don't want the truth. And that's how it is in many areas. Yes, a lot of money has been wasted on this planet on people who are doing things that are just going nowhere. Very sad, especially in the area of science. The hollow earth theory. The hollow earth theory suggests that planet Earth is either entirely hollow or contains a substantial amount. Its existence has been proposed throughout human history. Buddhists believe the inner Earth was made up of a race of people that they call supermen and women. They alleged to the inner Earth to oversee what was happening on the surface. The Buddhists apparently had lamas guarding the entrances to inner earth in Tibet. That might be why Adolf Hitler and the Nazis were entrances to inner earth. In Tibetan and Hindu, Indian traditions and texts, an ancient kingdom called Shambhala is described. It's a mythical place located somewhere around inner Asia in the center of the earth. It's amazing how embedded the theory of inner earth is within ancient cultures. Is this mythology or reality? Ancient texts from India, like the Ramayana, describe the story of a great blue being, the Avatar Rama. The Ramayana depicts Rama as an emissary from Agartha that arrived on an air vehicle. The vehicles were commonly known as Vimanas. The fact that both Buddhist and Hindu religions separately refer to inner earth and its civilization is quite fascinating. Ancient cultures all over the world, from Mayan to other recent native populations and more, all have stories of beings that live and come from an underground world. I had the privilege of spending a year in northern Ontario, Canada, made aware of stories of little people that lived underground. Let's examine where ancient history meets scientific exploration. Edmund Halley. Edmund Halley, well, you know, that's the Halley's Comet guy. He believed the earth was hollow, and he stated it. He was one of them. Another one before him was Sir Isaac Newton, who discovered gravity, or let's say rediscovered gravity. Another one was Leonhard Euler, Swiss mathematician and physicist. And he produced a large portion of modern mathematic terminology and notation. Also, Captain John Sims, United States Army officer, stated as a rank of captain in his role in the war 1812, "I declare the earth is hollow and habitable within, containing a number of solid concentric spheres, one within the other, and that is open at the poles, 12 and 16 degrees. I pledge my life in support of this truth. I'm ready to explore the hollow if the world will support and aid me in the undertaking." Sims even tried to talk to Congress into funding an expedition to find the Antarctic hole to the center of the earth, but was not granted permission. Admiral Richard Byrd. If we fast forward to modern times, more modern times, inner earth garnished more attention in the 1940s, and after when Admiral Byrd, Richard Byrd, supposedly journeyed to Hollow Earth, this man was a Medal of Honor recipient and very high ranking, one of the highest officers in the United States Navy. He was the very first man to fly over the South Pole. Admiral Byrd also flew directly over the North Pole and noticed an opening in the top. His diary describes his adventure into the opening when he was witness to lakes, rivers, green vegetation, and more. He participated in many expeditions to the North Pole, with one being an official government-backed program called Operation High Drum. It was a U.S. Navy operation organized by Admiral Byrd. The primary goal was to establish an Antarctic research base. He claims to have been greeted by a UFO flying machine, and this is when he first interacted with the beings that existed in a place that is known to many as Agartha, or the capital of the underworld. The beings told him they were concerned with the development of nuclear weapons. Yeah, because they'd just gone and blown up Hiroshima and Nagasaki with atomic bombs on the outer surface. So those inside were worried about this. Admiral Byrd apparently claimed, like many before him, the North and South Pole are actually two of many openings to the center of the Earth. He also claimed the inner Earth has a central sun, like Euler did. His theory is that both poles of the Earth are actually convex rather than concave. This means that ships and planes will be able to fly or float right in. After his expeditions, the American press announced Admiral Byrd's discovery to the world. After the release, it was immediately suppressed by the government, and Byrd was made out to be a man known to make false claims. His story was quite popular, and he published in National Geographic. It's also worthy to note that his son Richard Byrd Jr. lived a very difficult life died a very mysterious death, found dead in an empty warehouse. It's worthy to know that he was 6 years old when he accompanied his father on his expeditions. The story of Hollow Earth has not solely been tied to science fiction. Yes, he's going to mention some writers here, and one of them is Dr. A.W. Bernard. I have his book, Flying Saucers from the Earth's Interior, published in 1960. It's only a thin book, but I tell you, the amount of information in it is absolutely stunning. If you want to know about the inner Earth, you want to know what's down there, and a lot of amazing things, just amazing things. That book's worth reading. UFOs from the Center of the Earth, or Flying Saucers from the Earth's Interior, published in 1960 by Dr. A.W. Bernard. That is well worth reading. I recommend that book. Right, here's talking about now the location of the Garden of Eden. There's a great mystery concealed in the Torah about Abraham's burial of his wife Sarah. This mystery is not just another boring mystical mumbo-jumbo philosophical religious lesson makes us want to yawn. No, this mystery is about geological and geographical reality spoken about for centuries in the Torah literature and echoed in the literature of numerous cultures around the world. What I'm speaking about is the Garden of Eden being a real physical place and the secret of its actual location. So where is the garden, you may ask? Who's living there now? In answer to these questions, let us delve into the Torah, the time of Sarah's death, and to the place of her burial, the double cave of Machpelah in Hebron. The Torah story is well known. That's right. According to Midrashic legend, Abraham was out tending sheep one day when one of them ran off. He followed it through the hills and into a cave. And upon entering the cave, Abraham was overwhelmed by the sweet fragrances coming out from deep within the cave. He enters deep into surprise. He finds that there's a second cave inside the first one, and inside this cave lay buried a man and a woman whose bodies have not decomposed at all. Amazed at this sight, Abraham prays to God for answers. What is this place, and who is buried here? The male body then sits up, sounds spooky, and speaks, saying to Abraham that he's Adam. And this cave is the entrance way to the Garden of Eden. That's like saying it's a portal in story language. This cave was the cave of Machpelah. I've heard a lot about this cave too, as it being a portal from the outer world to the inner world. And that on the top is the cave of Machpelah where Abraham buried Sarah and his relatives after him, or some of them. But that it's a double cave, meaning it's a portal down to the inner earth, and on the other side where it goes down is the Garden of Eden. And that is in Jewish books, including the Torah and the Zohar, the mystical book. Wow. Amazing stuff. Right, I'll continue here. I missed out some of it, and this is a very interesting chapter, but it's a long chapter. This is chapter 3 in my first book, Out the Bottomless Pit, the Hollow Earth Theory. I'm skipping going here and there in the chapter. But I'll jump to this bit here, which is interesting. It talks about creatures inside the earth. Right. The existence of inner earth should come as a surprise to no one. Such knowledge has been known to ancient cultures for thousands of years, even expanding across the oceans. Even the ancient Native American Hopis know of these places. Even in the realm of science, there have been some famous names who embrace what has become known as the Hollow Earth. Such scientists include among them Sir Edmund Halley, famous for the comet named after his discovery. The existence of inner or hollow earth is much more than a mere theological statement made by the Torah sages. There have been numerous encounters between surface-dwelling humans and the numerous other types of life that inhabit the inner realms. Not all such encounters have been benign. Our sages have outlined that inner earth is actually divided up. Yeah, if you read the story, The Coming Race, which is based on fact, it's not just a science fiction story, and those in the occult, they know all about it. But in that book, right at the beginning, there's a huge monster inside, like a giant lizard-like, crocodile-like creature, but much, much bigger. It devours the dead body of the explorer's friend who fell from a height and got killed. But he immediately got devoured by this monster that came out of a cave. Yeah, that's the coming race. But it is a very interesting book. Those who accidentally fell inside the earth through a mine shaft. Very interesting story, written about 1896. But I think it's a lot more than just fiction. Anyway, so I believe there are races inside the earth, both human and as what others would call reptilian or snake race, and a whole bunch of stuff in between, and a lot of what we would call prehistoric creatures like dinosaurs and stuff, and pterodactyls. There's been evidence to prove that. People have seen these things, including Admiral Byrd. He said he saw mammoths inside the earth and other big creatures. All you've got to do is read the book of Enoch, and he describes what's inside the earth, and he also talks about massive creatures, the book of Enoch. Anyway, going back to here, our sages have outlined that the inner earth is actually divided up into 7 sections, which in Hebrew are called the Shiva Ardzot. These are enumerated in detail in the Zohar, and that's a mystical book of the Zohar in Hebrew, while some modern so-called rabbis want to describe the Shev or Arzot, or inner earth, as being land masses here on the earth. The Garden of Eden is said to be only one of many locations in inner earth. And the Zohar teaches was here that Adam materialized on earth. It was from the centermost domain, Eden, in inner earth, that it was cast out. It was to other domains in inner earth that he lived, and that Cain and Abel were born. It's even stated that Adam left numerous other progeny throughout inner earth over the centuries of his life. The Zohar says that many who escaped the destruction of the Tower of Babel did so by relocating to inner earth. Inner earth has long been said to be the domain of the fallen angels and the Nephilim, mentioned in Genesis 6. Inner earth is said to also be the domain of many animals, which we have long considered mythological, such as the unicorn, the phoenix, the minotaur, centaur, dragon. Inner earth inhabitants are said to come in many different shapes and sizes, what we would call giants to the likes of what we would call hobbits. Indeed, there is even said to be some sort of 2-headed humans. Yeah, I've heard about that before. All these things are proclaimed by our sages to be physically real. The Zohar states that the Garden of Eden is a physical place existing in the inner earth. In the garden there are said to be numerous palaces. This indicates the garden is no mere botanical location. Seems to imply the garden might not be a botanical domain at all, but rather a build-up similar to a modern city. Well, that's what he says. It's not written by me. Some of this is written by others. Well, one of the palaces in the garden is said to be the palace of Messiah. Zohar teaches that Messiah rides there, and from here receives powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. It is from here in the garden that Messiah sets out to outer earth to there fight the wars for Hashem, to conquer the surface with him. That's interesting because that sounds a lot like the coming race, where the inhabitants of the inner earth are determined one day they're going to come out and conquer the outer surface and take it over for themselves with their superior technology. Well, that's the plan. That's what it says in that book, The Coming Race. Quite amazing when you think it was written in 1890 or so. Wow. Questions abound. Answers are plenty throughout the many works of our Torah sages. One point that our sages make is certain: we're not alone on the earth. There are many races of indigenous, intelligent, sentient entities living in earth. And many of these species know about us, and many of them have interacted with us for a very long time, yeah. I think that's where you get all these abductions from. Some of these races are benign or even benevolent. Others, on the other hand, are nothing but trouble. One of these troublesome races are referred to as the Nishaya, after the name of their domain. They are one of the Shedim demons, spoken of by our sages throughout the centuries. The Zohar and other literature describes their appearance as being frail, short, with a grey skin tone, no noses, just slits to breathe. Allegedly, they have no females of their species, and thus seek our human females with which to procreate. Many might recognize the similarities between the Nishaya and modern-day so-called extraterrestrials and so-called alien abductions. The Garden of Eden is thus accepted by our sages as a physical domain deep inside inner Earth. Well, yet just as the garden is located there, so are there other domains, even the physical location of hell. And that's the end of chapter 3. Like I said, I just quoted some of chapter 3. There's a lot more details inside it. It's important for people to understand that some of the top scientists and military people were the ones who believed in the Hollow Earth and talked about it, and that all stopped around about 1950 when he decided to spoon-feed people another narrative of the Earth being solid, when with a little bit of science and maths you can prove it can't be solid. It doesn't make sense. See my videos on that. A simple experiments to show that the Earth cannot be solid, and it's much more likely to be hollow, as hollow vessels are much more useful as they can contain something and put something inside it, and all creation is hollow. So why shouldn't it be the same with the Earth and with the moon, the sun, and stars? So I suggest to people, please do get my book, Out the Bottomless Pit 1 and 2. You have a lot of information like this and a lot of scientific information. And I suggest people also get my Insights books. Now there are 8 of them. Well, the 8th one is coming out shortly. And the latest book is called EZDRAS, Insights, with an S rather than the Z, as was my second book. Well, thanks for listening. Bye for now.